Hi everyone. Today was supposed to be the start of the Wanda Diamond League season here in Doha, my home country, Qatar. I wish you could have watched me and my fellow athletes competing, but due to the situation and the coronavirus, you gotta stay home and help fight this disease. But don't worry, we got the next best thing for you. Guys, sit down, relax, and enjoy some of Doha highlights, some of Doha's greatest moment on the Diamond League season. And I hope you're gonna enjoy that. Stay home and stay safe.
Thank you, Mutaz. And yes, hello, welcome to this very special episode of the Wanda Diamond League call room. As you might already be aware, the first 5 meetings of the 2020 Wanda Diamond League season have sadly been postponed. The situation surrounding coronavirus obviously changes all the time. If you want to stay up to date with all of the developments regarding the Diamond League, make sure you subscribe to our social channels, our media platforms of all sorts, and that's where you'll get the latest information as soon as it comes out. Now, as Mutaz just explained, around about this time we would have been in Qatar for the traditional Diamond League opener. Sadly, that's not the case at the moment, but instead we put together a very special package of highlights covering the Doha Diamond League going back the last few seasons to 2016. And to take us through that content, it's not just me, we also have 3 very special guests, each of them a present or past Diamond League champion. Let's meet them. First up, we've got Diamond League champion in the pole vault, Olympic champion indeed. In Greece, it's Stefanidi. Also joining us from Germany is the Olympic champion in the javelin. He's also the Diamond League record holder, Thomas Röhler. Hello.
Hey.
And from New Zealand, the big man with 3 shot put Diamond League titles to his name, most recently picked up last year at the Zurich meeting. It's Tom Walsh. Hello, Tom.
Hey guys.
From down under, Thomas. How are you doing?
Going really well. It's. I was just saying actually before that this might be my first winter spent at home in about 8 years, so I might have to pull out the old winter clothes and dust them off and get used to that. But it's all going pretty good down here, though.
And it's not too severe a problem in New Zealand, is it? The COVID measures the measures that the government have taken and that yourselves, the people, have taken, appear to have been quite effective.
Yeah, we're in, complete lockdown at the moment, but we've only had about 1,300 cases so far, and with the numbers dropping as well with cases every day. So I think the average case every day now is about 20 new cases, I should say. So it's definitely going in the right direction. And it's a bit easier to control when you're an island really in the middle of nowhere.
What about you, Thomas? In Germany, again, they seem to have things relatively under control, although lockdown measures are in place. How are you finding it?
The measures that have been taken and that are taken at the moment are definitely strict, but it seems to be working. So that is the very positive part. People act positive. They still accept it. Of course, it gets a little more, let's say, tricky, because people need this social life so much these days. They miss it very much. But yeah, hopefully people have the, let's say, endurance, keeping the measures up, accepting them as long as we need to really get the problem under control. But I think all in all, sports in Germany is still positive.
I'm glad to hear that you're keeping positive as well. It seems like you're in good spirits. What about you, Kat? Because normally you're based in the States, but I think you're in Greece at the moment.
Yeah, we came in Greece at the beginning of March for the Olympic torch relay, and we kind of got stuck. We kind of stayed because we thought it was earlier. It was kind of a 50-50, or it was safer. It was a 50-50 thing because I feel like Greece is a few weeks before, I think the whole world is a few weeks before the US is. So I thought we just went through these really hard 3 weeks. Why go back and go through these same 3 weeks again? Again, we're in lockdown too. Everything is closed. We actually have to send a text to the government every time we have to leave the house. It's almost like a travel permit. But other than that, the weather has been really nice, so we've been very lucky. The numbers have been also very good. I mean, we have worse numbers than New Zealand, but across Europe, I think we're doing pretty good. Maybe because we're not a major hub with like a big airport, so things are going okay.
Yeah, hopefully the world can return to some sort of normality, both in the countries that you are, back in the UK where I am, and all over the world. I think we all just kind of want to get back to normal. But in the meantime, we've had a little look at what you've been up to on social media. The three of you have been doing some slightly less traditional exercises, shall we say. Let's have a look at the video of what you guys have been up to in your newfound spare time.
This is my dog Ripper. So you got to get the weights from wherever you can these days. So he kind of enjoys it. I'm not quite sure.
How much does he weigh?
Oh, let's go 75 kgs.
Okay. A nice light one. What about this horizontal pole vault, Kat?
I thought it was great. I was cleaning the floor at the same time.
And this one, Thomas, your poor cat.
Yeah, well, the cat loves it actually. So it's a win-win situation for both.
And then, is that Mitch there just flipping you around, Kat?
Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do that one.
Yeah. And this is more of a little bit of a sponsors kind of thing / pushing my truck for farmers carries or truck pushers. So yeah, a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those old World's Strongest Men events, isn't it? Can you push a car up a hill?
Yeah, indeed.
Would you ever do anything like that, Thomas?
No, I'm actually one of the weaker shot putters, so I would be no good at those strongman ones. You probably want to talk to Joe or probably Romani. Romani is probably one of the strongest guys around.
Have any of you been bored at all, or have you managed to find plenty to do?
My girlfriend actually written me out a big long list of wee jobs that I need to do around the place. So being ex-builder, builders' homes are never finished. So we do have a new house, so most of it is finished, but there's these 25, 30-minute jobs that I'll just do them tomorrow, I'll just do them next week. So I've been slowly working my way through them. But it's actually been quite relaxing. I think I can speak for the other two guys, but we're generally traveling somewhere or doing a sponsorship thing or going to a meeting, and it's actually been quite nice to be, to some degree, in one place for an extended period of time.
Would you say the same, Thomas? Happy to be at home?
I definitely agree. It's like given time, the enemy is not nice, this COVID thing, but the time given is nice actually, and you spend more time with family. You're locked down with your partner, and it's not a bad thing actually. It's time if you're staying mentally positive, if you don't stress yourself. And I must say that the shift of the Olympic Games was definitely a relaxing moment, because then I really realized that this time is something I can use, and I don't know when in my career I will have the next chance to be back home for more than 3 days, for 3 weeks in one period. It's not just cut it into training camps, competitions. Of course we stay fit, but I think, speaking for all athletes around the world, it's fun to stay fit. It's something we like, and it's not stressful. It's you just do what you can do. And
your body's probably enjoying the rest, because javelin is hard on the body.
True. That's also a positive point. I mean, I would never put the javelin in any corner in April. These days, I just grab it because I want to say hi to the javelin.
Are you missing the vaulting pit, Kat?
I am. I mean, I'm sure for the same for Tom and Thomas. It is hard to be away from your event in particular. I think it's fun to stay healthy, and it's actually a very interesting challenge to just try to stay strong and healthy and fit with what you have at home, which is everybody doesn't have the same thing, so everybody has to have their own ideas of what they should do. But I do miss, like, the event itself in particular. And I think the longer, I think it's been about a month now, and the longer we stay away from it, the worse it will get, and the longer it will take for us to come back. I think in Holly's interview the other day, with question and answers, I think she said 2 or 3 months it takes a pole vaulter after taking a month and a half off to be able to go back to a long run without big poles to be able to compete again. So if there are any meets this summer, it will take us the whole, from now until then, to be able to do it. But I think other than that, just to add to what Tom and Thomas said, I think we travel a lot, but the time that we are home in our countries, we are in our houses. So I don't think we're either at practice or in our houses. So I don't think this is this big shock for us where, we used to go out all the time and around, and now we're stuck in our houses. I think like for the daily life that we used to live when we are in our cities, it's not that different. I mean, I think we all spend a lot of time at home because of rehab, because we need to rest, because you don't want to do anything else after practice. So I feel like it hasn't been that much different, other than, you can't see everybody anymore.
Life then for the athletes, not necessarily too much changed from what they're used to. However, I think I speak on behalf of every single athletics fan in the world when I say we really miss the competition. So let's crack on with the first set of highlights. They're all to do with battles. Let's take a look at some of the great rivalries we've enjoyed play out at the Qatar Sports Club and the Khalifa International Stadiums, which have hosted the Doha Diamond League meeting in recent years. Let's take a look.
Emmanuel Korea, Diamond League champion. He only lost one race the whole of last year. That was in the African Championships to Nigel Amos, who is also in this race. Both of them based in the US these days. There's Ferguson Rotich, Adam Kashot, best of perhaps the Europeans over the years. There's Amos, who had a slightly different year, apart from those African Championships. Well, coming back from injury problems, which saw him miss most of 2018, an Achilles problem, but a world record indoors over 600 metres. Most eyes will be on, and in this stadium, certainly Abdallah of Qatar. Brazier won't be too far away either. Abdallah likes to front run, he doesn't need to here. He's got Bram Song, who hopefully will take them out. Abdallah started pretty quickly, actually. It will be... Well, in fact, he's heading towards the lead unless he slows down and lets Song come across. It's a big field here. So Abdallah and Amos, Korea coming on the outside, the big names slotting in. 5th place as well, but it's Abdallah at the front. This is Brave running from him, and Brazier starting to make a move, the American on the outside. Korea, Brazier just gives Amos a nudge. Abdallah trying to hold off Korea on the top end. The crowd here really trying to chase on or cheer on their home hero. But here comes Emmanuel Korea. Amos is looking good. Brazier just trying to find something. And it's Amos who's just getting the edge over Korea. He's trying to hold him on, but he's not going to. Nigel Amos takes the win. 1:44.29. He'll just get the world lead with that.
Well, created history. The first athlete to hold world titles outdoors, indoors and over the cross country. She's run 5 races this year, all cross country. She's won all of them, and she is the red hot favourite against Genzebe Dibaba. And listen to the roar from the crowd here. The Ethiopian support absolutely superb right from the beginning of the evening. The women's 3,000 metres. Well, it'll be very interesting to see, Steve, how Helen Iberi has recovered from what was a really, really punishing cross-country course, wasn't it, in Aarhus in Denmark at the end of March. She's in brilliant form. We know all about her. What we don't know so much is how Genzebe Dibaba has been doing in training. She's not raced very much at all, and this is for her first race outdoors.
Yeah, an intriguing race. I think you've obviously mentioned Iberi and Dibaba, the 2 big names, but just think about Kip Kirui. Doesn't really race on the track that much, and last year came here from half marathon, big performance, ran a superb race, and she's done the same. She's run quicker at the same half marathon in Prague. So if
Kite, one of the lesser known names, is starting to go backwards. Rengaruk, who was on the floor less than 2 minutes ago, is still giving it a real dust up. But the 2 big names are well clear into the final 200. Iberi going for the line. Dibaba hasn't been shaken off just yet. It's Iberi leading the way. Listen to the roar of the crowd. Ethiopia, they're all on their feet. grimacing into the final straight. Obiri, what has she got left? Has she broken Dababa yet? I think she may have done. Fresh from the cross country, Obiri will not be beaten. She will not be beaten on the cross country, and she will not be beaten on the track here in Doha. Kenya wins. Ethiopia second through Dababa. 8:25.61, the fastest time in the world this year.
Thompson gets a very good start with some of his skippers, and then outside Talu, who always gets out very, very quickly indeed, is already up, and Desiree Henry. Skippers has taken some ground out of Elaine Thompson, and inside her Veronica Campbell Brown running a good bit, but here comes Thompson, he's a big champion. Skippers trying to hang on, look out for Holmes, but she's continuing to move away. Talu getting into the battle of the third, but it's going to be Elaine Thompson who wins it. Daphne Skippers in second, 22.19.
And of course, Skippers was right up on her, but you're quite right, the transition was superb. She's flowed into the home straight. Look at that, she's down at the moment, and right on the inside of her, Veronica Campbell-Brown was going well at this stage, and then all of a sudden the burners are turned on, and she starts to move away. Look at this, perfect, beautiful relaxation, high on the toes, hips high, total and utter concentration. Skippers really struggling a little bit and having to give way in the final stages.
Oh, in the middle, Ahure gets off to a good start, so does Talu. Talu and Ahure are leading this one at the moment. Skippers has been left behind by a good metre or so. Talu might just have the edge here. Thompson's trying to get amongst it, but it's going to be Talu who gets there. Akagbari may have just pipped Thompson for second place, but look at that, another new world lead. We've hardly had an event this evening without a world lead. That is superb sprinting, 10.85, and indeed that's a new personal best for Talu. Goodness me, are we seeing some excellent athletics here tonight.
Ryan Krauser, who threw 22.74 in Long Beach, and he's done it again, straight over 22 metres. Not able to extend the lead there. This is Thomas Walsh, seeing himself lose second place. Oh, well, it's just inside the sector there, over 22, right on the mark. I think it's okay, right on the far side, just inside the white tape.
Tom, we're just seeing your 22, I think 09 was it? At Doha.
Yeah, I don't think it was much over 22. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel kind of bad to bring it up last year because it was over 22. I think it was your first 22-metre throw of the season at Doha last year, but it was a battle with Ryan Krauser that made it a really good competition really early in the season. What do you remember from that particular contest?
I remember that I had I think it's the longest flight in the world from Auckland to Doha direct. It's 18 hours, so I had that flight to start with to get to Doha. But look, I'm not using that as an excuse because we are professional athletes and we expect to perform, any given day of the year. So, that was actually my first time in Doha last year, and it was. I remember the first comp of the season is always, especially the first big comp of the season, is always very nerve-wracking, and it's great to be back and great to see all these people again, but your heart's always jumping out of your chest, and you remember that's actually why you do it. You do it because of that rush, that rush that the top level of competition really brings. And so I can remember tugging my first throw left out of sector and going, well, I need to sort that out because that's not that good. And then managing to get one down just inside the sector. But Ryan obviously beating me in that competition. And as you guys know, there's between me and Ryan, there's quite a bit of a grudge match going on. So it was kind of the start of it for the year for sure.
As fans, we kind of look at you big guys in the circle, and you never really look particularly nervous. You in particular look very relaxed. You've got your trousers on. It looks like you've just walked out of the living room. Do those nerves diminish as the season progresses or as a competition progresses?
Definitely as the competition progresses, you kind of start remembering what it feels like and your routines and whether you use meditation or mindfulness to get yourself in the right spot. And I know when I throw really well, I'm quite relaxed, rather than getting all kind of up and angry and stuff, which that works for other guys. So it's just about getting yourself back into those routines, and then you're away again, and you start feeling more comfortable. And that was what Doha was, and also for me last year, Doha was a tester for the end of the year, just to see how it all was, and what the feeling was going to be, and how hot it was going to be, and so forth like that. So it was a good start to the Diamond League circuit for me, for sure.
I just want to ask about this mindfulness point that you brought up. Is the techniques that you'll use during competition? Yeah,
during competition, and also out of competition too. I think most top athletes want to some degree bring themselves back to the moment, and remind themselves why they're there, and then from why you're there, then you can kind of figure out how you're going to get the outcome that you want, and you work towards the outcome rather than back from the outcome. And also, like when you're scared, when you're nervous, your body can react in two different ways. It can be like a deer in the headlights, or you can use that kind of nerves as a positive thing too, and actually use it to help you throw further. And I think that's what most top athletes do in the Diamond Leagues and in the World Championships. They use it to get the best out of themselves.
How does a rivalry fit into that? Because obviously you mentioned Ryan Krauser, but there's so many other guys as well in the shot put who go over to
well, exactly. I haven't mentioned Joe Kovacs, I haven't mentioned Romani, I haven't mentioned Conrad, Durrell, the list goes on. So, there's definitely a big one between me and Krauser, because we've kind of been butting heads for the last kind of 3 or 4 years. But look, I think, again, I can speak for most people out there that do professional sport. They're really competitive people, and they hate losing. And I hate losing any type of game, whether it's, a warm-up game, or whether it's, a training competition, or whether it's the real competition. And I'm sure Ryan's the same as that. And I know Conrad, I know, Durrell is too. So I just hate losing anything. But I've also been told by my parents from a very young age is, if you do lose or it doesn't all go to plan, make sure you're the first man or woman to go and shake their hand and congratulate them on the competition.
You're laughing there, Kat.
Yes, I don't think there is any elite athlete that doesn't feel that way. I compete with my husband on everything, like especially right now that there's no competitions, and I feel the need to compete even more. It will be like the silliest thing. I will be like, I bet you this, I bet I will win. So I've always also been that way. And like Tom said, I think it's part of being a professional athlete. I think you need to be the way we all get nervous, but I think the athletes that become better, I think you can get a little better from being nervous, and you can get a little worse. And I think the athletes that get a little better is not exactly nerves. I think it's excitement and nerves. I think they cannot wait to compete. They cannot wait what they can see. And I think obviously, yes, it could be nerves which you're handling better or not as well. But I think obviously everybody gets nervous. And I think the people that we know as the medalists and the Diamond League winners, I think they have this like special competitiveness where they shine under pressure and when they have to. And I think that's the most fun part of sport.
Thomas, I've got to ask you about this as well. Are you missing competition, because you probably haven't competed since last year? I think Kat and Tom will have had indoor seasons, whereas you can't really throw javelin indoors. You can in Sweden somewhere, but
True. Well, we kind of turned back time in mind at the moment, so I'm trying to feel myself in something around January, February. This is the time when I have no javelin around. This is the time when I try to be competitive in, let's say, the CrossFit workouts, heavy intense stuff. That usually happens with the group, and the group isn't there obviously at the moment because we're not allowed to train or to practice in a group. So this is something I'm definitely missing. I'm trying to keep myself away from my natural spirit of being competitive at the moment, because being competitive at the house is not that positive all the time. If you're competitive about everything, it can be very stressful. So I'm trying to really be focused on being relaxed and just living a natural day, trying to keep myself fit with the competition against myself, of course. But this is also the reason I'm staying away from all these challenges going around, because I don't want to get too competitive in this home setup. I want to be back to competitive when I have the smell of the track again, when I have my training peers around me. This is the time when I want to be competitive again. And yes, I think it's a little mental advantage that we javelin throwers do not have the indoors. We are used to staying away from our competitors and from tracks for quite a long time every year.
No better reason then to watch a few more highlights from Doha. You want to see the flowers, you want to see the sunshine, and we want to see some track and field as well. Let's have a look at a few more highlights, please, Matt.
And there is the Olympic champion in lane 5, Dalila Mohammed, 29 years old, won the Diamond Trophy impressively in 2018. Record 54.27. The women's 400 metres hurdles.
World leading performance this year is 54.
Well, the action underway in this special year here in Doha, and Dalila Mohammed, as she likes to, has gone off nice and quickly in the all blue strip, the navy blue strip, their centre of picture, already up on the shoulder of her great rival Janine Russell. Also going well on the outside, Lauren Wells, who's in terrific form. Megan Beasley, centre of picture with the blonde hair, slightly ragged over that hurdle, but it's Dalila Mohammed as they enter the second half of the race. Dalila Mohammed is striding out. She is so smooth. This is her first outdoor race of 2019, and listen to the roar of the crowd. We've got a terrific crowd here in the Khalifa Stadium, and it's really a one-horse race here. Dalila Mohammed has weighed very light work. Janine Russell is going backwards, treading in treacle. Just the final barrier to go, and Dalila Mohammed is well away. Let's keep an eye on the clock. 54.27, remember, the meeting record just outside. Not surprisingly, it's the fastest time in the world this year. We'll say that several times this evening. It is early days though, but so far so good. And Steve, well, we're off to a fly here. Dalila Mohammed, very impressive indeed. Daniel Stoll then, who's made quite a start here in Doha. A meeting record followed by a Diamond League record in round 2. Oh my word, he may well have added to that in round 3. The Swede is on fire here in Doha. What a start to the season for the world silver medalist from 2 years ago. Terrific second clearance over 70 metres.
Well, it's amazing to think how good McMaster has become so quickly. He still only has a best of 48.1 on the flat. He's much quicker than that, of course. McMaster, sadly, his coach died in Hurricane Irma last year, and he said that inspired him to that Commonwealth gold medal, and it was a superb performance from him. So what a field we've got here. Samba in lane 4. Home crowd expecting much from him. The world silver medalist inside him in lane 3. Then McMaster in 5, and then Karen Clement, the Olympic champion, in lane 6. McMaster is a little slow away, and inside him Samba starting very quickly indeed, and Samba rises first in the blue in lane 4, so it's Samba just leading through that second flight of hurdles. Jack Green on the outside going well for Great Britain, and Karim Hussein staying involved here, but look at McMaster is now going to have to try and respond here, because Samba has started incredibly quickly. Karen Clement absolutely nowhere at this point, so Samba looking strong and looking good. Round into the home straight now. Can he maintain this? I said what happened to him in London. He just got a bit ragged in the home straight, but he's got a massive lead here. He won in Doha in front of his home crowd in 2017, and he's heading for another superb victory here. This is incredible from Samba. Let's watch the clock here. It's going to be quick. 47.57. Wow! The veteran Jackson came through for second place in the end as others faltered. That is an incredible performance, yet another world lead. But what about Perkovic? Well, she started with a 67.41 in that second round, the best throw, and then in the third round launched an incredible throw well out there beyond 70 metres, and look at Perkovic. That was just 3 centimetres short of a lifetime best. She was waiting for it to be measured. I think at that point she thought it might be a lifetime best. In the end, she knew, didn't she? As soon as she let that go, it was a huge throw.
A lot of noise in the arena, by the way, at the far end. Despite that noise, they get underway without any problem. It's fairly even at the moment, although certainly Aquala looks to have gone off the quickest third from left there in lane 6. He's one of the smaller in the field, but a lovely, smooth, fluid stride. The tall legs of Gardner in the orange there, just to left of centre, carrying him along well. And inside him, Haroun of Qatar, the bronze medalist from London last year, has gone off very aggressively in the white armbands. But Aquala now beginning to get into his stride, holding the form well around that top bend, although certainly leading at the moment is Haroun in the orange strip. In lane 5, it's Gardner now who's going strongly. Gardner challenging Aquala, who may be beaten here, and he will be, because Gardner is going well clear. He's pulling way clear of the 22 run. Big win that for the Bahamian. And look at the time, 43.87, a new meeting record.
Now then, he's got a little bit to make up here. He's got 89.68, he's got 88.12, he's got 89.68 to beat, and he's got to make 90 metres clearly. And that's a big ask. Now then, what's he done with that one? Oh, I say! That is a sensational throw. That's way over 90 metres. I mean, Zalesny was in 98 metre territory, but that is a sensational throw. That is unbelievable. Way over 90 metres for the Olympic champion. Well, the questions were asked and the answer was given, quite frankly. 93 metres and 90. Wow.
That was 2017. Thomas, you look pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, I think that's what happens when you throw a big PB. It was amazing competition. I really didn't know where I was standing from, let's say, the competitive technique. I've had some really good throws on grass before. 2017 preparation, we tried to kind of relieve the stresses after winning the Olympic gold. So we were giving the body a chance to recover. We were training much on turf, on grass. We stayed away from track. We've been doing easy things, but we've been working on a good technique. So I was quite nervous going into Doha 2017 because I really had no idea where I was standing. We sometimes don't do the full run-ups and things in training just to keep the risks low, just to be mentally very much ready and excited for the competition, and that was definitely the case. And also I didn't expect the other guys to be that strong this early in season, but the competition developed super quick. It was this play against Johannes and I, and also Andreas then stepped in. It was close, and I can just agree to what Tom said before. You are an athlete and you want to win. That's the thing. This is why we do it for. And when he was beating my 88 with a 90 something, I was just like, okay, I didn't come here for coming second. I came here to win, and then I pulled out this amazing big throw, and this is still an example for many throwers out there, and also for myself.
Yeah, it's actually it's not just the meeting record in Doha, it's the Diamond League record, the best throw of all time in the 10 years of the Diamond League taking place. When it just looked so easy on the runway. When that comes out of your hand, does it feel different? Does it feel like you've hit a sweet spot?
In javelin, if it feels easy, it's good. If you add power to easy, it's good. It usually flies far, and if you see this one point that people describe when you hit the javelin beautifully, this is what exactly happened in Doha. I just seen this small dot flying a long distance, traveling for a long time, and this is the point when you know that it's going to be a big throw.
At any stage, did you worry for the life of that cameraman? Because the javelin came down about a metre from that guy.
Honestly, I think I really realized it at 1 a.m. when I sat on the airport, because we traveled back right after the competition, and I sat at the airport and somebody was sending me it was not a Giphy, but it was some graphic where they were pointing out the danger zone of how close I was to the cameraman. I was showing this to coach, and I said, "Hey coach, did you see that? Was that close?" He was like, "No, I was just looking at your javelin flight," and I was saying the same because I didn't really realize it. But I can tell you that from that day on, every time we entered the field and we see camera close, it's same for every javelin pro out there on international level at the moment. We all make sure to tell these guys, this is a dangerous sport, but javelin is definitely something you should watch out for. And please put your camera to somewhere around record distances.
Well, I actually have it on authority that cameraman was moved back about 5 yards before the competition began, so it could have been very different. Is that maybe the closest you've come to a mishap?
Well, for filming, if you have regional TV on the field, they want spectacular footage. And yes, I destroyed some of these light covers in front of the lens. I'm always hoping and I'm always asking them if they're properly insured.
What about you, Tom Walsh? Have you ever taken anyone out with a shot put? I'm asking this question because I know our producer in the background, Matt, has been hit by a shot put.
Yes, he has. No, but I've hit someone with a toaster. Did it at some fair thing. They wanted to see how far I could throw a toaster. And of course, you tell people to get back, as Thomas was saying, and they don't listen. And came off the hand a little bit sideways and hit someone in the head. So there you go.
How far did the toaster fly?
I wouldn't say that far. Maybe 15 meters or something like that. Yeah.
We need to speak to the team.
It was a big toaster. It was a four slotter. So.
Work on the technique a little bit. Kat, have you ever vaulted over something and come down on top of someone else? That can happen, can't it?
I wouldn't say so. When we trained in Arizona, we actually used to do this as a challenge because our coach wanted us to learn to move far into the pit. So he would stand at the very front of the pit, but like on top of the pit, but just at the front of it, right over the box. And we had to take off and literally jump onto him. But I refused to do it. But other people did it. I just think the risk is not worth it. I can learn how to move into the pit without him being there.
If you meet someone for the first time and tell them that you do pole vaults, generally what's the immediate reaction? Do people want you to vault over something? Because if you're a thrower, I don't know, I assume that if you meet someone and say, I throw javelin or throw shot put, they might ask you to throw a toaster, for instance. But for Kat, I don't know, what do people come up with?
I mean, people always have, like, can you jump like 2 floors high, 3 floors high? And I have no idea how 2 floors high is, so I think I can jump 2 floors high.
You can, yeah.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever thrown, Thomas? In fact, I think don't you hold a record for the matchstick throw or something?
I think this record is definitely unofficial because I know that Uwe Hohn used to throw it even further, but I'm the let's say the active one throwing the furthest with a match. It's a regular small match. I can throw it 32 meters is my record. It sounds weird. It sounds so far, but if you once tried it, you will see that also a match is able to fly actually some kind of beautiful.
How do you hold it?
I like a dart. So you start throwing it like a dart, and then when you're getting more experience, you take a little more acceleration, and of course, no run up. It doesn't make sense. This thing is below 1 gram, I think.
32 meters, you said?
32, yeah.
What?
That's crazy.
New challenge for you there, Tom.
I don't have the same shoulder range as what Thomas has, so I'll stick to my heavy things.
Okay, yeah. Maybe try a P or something round. Joining us next, we have another very special guest, another past Diamond League champion. She is the world record holder in the 100-metre hurdles, a world indoor title to her name as well. It is Kendra Harrison, of course, all the way in Texas, USA. Howdy, Kendra. How are you doing? What have you been up to?
I'm still training on a track here in Austin. Luckily, the virus isn't too bad in Texas. And so it's just kind of been, we're trying to train, but not really train too hard, just trying to see where everything goes, but just trying to like stay in shape a little bit and do the best we can with what we got.
Do you have a roommate or anything, or are you living alone?
I live alone, but my neighbor is my best friend. So she's like 3 feet away.
So you've still got company?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Tell me about the situation. Like, are you training on a daily basis still? Are you still with your teammates, your buddies, your coach still there and stuff like that? Or
yeah, my coach is still here, and I train with 3 other professionals, Jenna, Corey, and Tiana. And we meet up 3 times a week, and we kind of do some running, and I do some hurdling. And then twice a week, I go to a local gym and I get my weights in. So we're doing just a little bit just to stay in shape, but also like just, being really flexible with what we got.
It must be weird because this would have been in round about the time that you'd be starting up your season. The reason that we're talking to you is because this week is the first time that the Diamond League would have resumed for 2020. Do you miss the competition side of things?
I do. I think sometimes we take that for granted. I think I've never gone this long without competing. So it's just really weird for me mentally to train so hard and then not to see where you're at. But I mean, everyone's going through it, and, I'm adjusting. I wish we could be competing right now. I'm sure a lot of athletes do, but, you just got to take it one day at a time.
That's absolutely it. You and everyone else. It's a strange situation. Listen, I want to take you back to Doha in 2017 because I think you probably remember that race fairly well. Anyone who watched the race and knew about the circumstances would probably remember what went into that race. We're just going to have a look at that race, Kendra, because you can see that you're physically in some pain.
Well, away this time. Harrison going quite strongly and also being challenged by Manning on the outside. Harrison coming away with this one now, though, absolutely flying. She's now moving away from this field. The rest absolutely tight. I think Röhler could well have got second place, but 12.59. It was very, very tight indeed, but Harrison continues where she left off last season. She went to London and broke the world record. It was a fabulous, fabulous occasion. And she is so dominant, and yet I still wonder how on earth she got into difficulty. Röhler did get second with 12.90. Nelvis got the third with 12.91. Those two very, very tight in lanes 2 and 3. But no doubt about the winner. Kendra Harrison, she's got terrific leg speed. The event is perfect for her, Steve. She just fits these hurdles.
People might not realise that just shortly before that race, you clattered into a hurdle on the warm-up track and actually fractured your wrist. I think seeing you've come across the line there, the hand with which you don't accept the winner's flowers just looks to be hanging very limp, and you look pretty distraught as well. What are your memories of that race?
Yeah, well, it was actually like when I was doing my warm-up push-out, like on the track. And then like my hand, I remember just, like I was watching some of the other girls go over the first hurdle and it was really windy. So in my head, I'm like, all right, you got to push out and you got to like really, attack the hurdle because the wind's in your face. So as soon as I went over the hurdle, my hand, I just didn't raise it up high enough and I just broke it. And it was a wood hurdle. And so I'm like walking back and I'm like, all right, I don't think I can feel my fingers. Like something's happening right now. And I'm just like, they're like, runners, get behind your blocks. And I'm just like, all right, like, all you can do is try, like, try to hold yourself up. If I pop up, I pop up. But I'm like, I think I can run everybody down if I don't get a good start. And then like halfway during the race, I was just like, oh my gosh, my hand is hurting so bad. And I just kind of finished and I couldn't really feel my hand. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I think I broke it. And so I like was just trying to figure out what was happening. And then I got escorted off the track, and then I went straight to the hospital after that.
It must be pretty crazy to reflect on that now. Do you think you learned anything about yourself from that performance? The fact that you just did blank out, the fact that you'd broken your hand in the final warm-ups before the race?
I just think my adrenaline, like when I'm ready to compete, I just go in competition mode and I kind of block out everything that's like going on. And so I think my adrenaline, it was just like, you came all this way, you got a race. All you can do is try. I could have easily just walked off the track and not even, went to the starting blocks. But that's just not how I deal with stuff. I'm like, I'm going to race. And so just the fact that I even broke it, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe I just ran with a broken hand. But
and then that wasn't your only Doha win, because you turned up again for the 2018 edition and won. I don't know if you have any memories of that race again on the same track.
No.
None whatsoever, because you were actually
I remember like I didn't get a good start. I remember just trying to like be competitive and go and get, I think Brianna, I think she had a really great start, and so I think it was one of my first races of the season, so I was just trying to find my rhythm, and I was grateful to come away with the win, and I was actually healthy that time, so I'm just glad I was able to run that race and get a Diamond League win at that point.
So ordinarily you would have run maybe a couple of meets in the States before coming out to Doha or something like that. Are you thinking further down the line, if there is any sort of track season, would you want to make an appearance? Would you want to compete domestically first before you put yourself on any international stage?
I mean, with the way things are going right now, I feel like they may not have any meets in the States. However, I'll take whatever meet I can get. I do want to run sometime this year. Hopefully that I'll get the opportunity to do that, just to kind of, get a couple races in my legs and not to go into the Olympic year with like a whole year of not competing. I do my best when, I kind of get to see where I'm at. I think a whole year of sitting out, I think it would be a little bit harder going into next year. You're going to be a lot more rusty and there's going to be things you need to fix. But if we're able to compete, I'll take whatever race I can get, whether it's August, September, or October. But again, all of us athletes are in the same position. So I'll be ready when they say there's a meet. So
have you been training today or anything?
Yeah, I trained this morning at 10 o'clock this morning. So I already got my workout in, and the rest of the day is just whatever I end up doing. I got some errands I got to run, but other than that, it's the same old, same old.
Well, say hello to Jenna. And do
I
stay
will.
well. Thanks very much for coming on at such short notice. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Keni Harrison in fine spirits there. And let's not waste any more time. Let's go into our final selection of highlights, beginning with her race against Brianna Rollins from 2018.
Good start there from Harrison. Certainly got a jump on McNeil, but to fall from right. McNeil beginning to come through nicely though now already. She is the world number one. Now Harrison responding. There's a battle royal between these two. They're drawing well clear, and she gets away with it. Keni Harrison takes it by a foot. 12.53. Very slight following wind there. She had to work for that one. There were 3 or 4 different phases in that race, really, with McNeil easing past the fast starting Harrison, then Harrison coming back at having to really work through the third quarter of the race and eventually drawing clear over the last couple of flights.
Webb is going very, very well. 19.91 in Walnut. This is going to be very, very strong. Be interesting to see how Amir Webb goes in that 5th lane. Tall, powerful looking fella with Isaiah Young inside him. He's had a 982-100 last year, did Isaiah. 1986, his personal best, was set in 2013. But Walter Dix, well, remember that race behind Johan Blake when Blake ran 1926 and Dix ran 1953, 2011 in Brussels? Wow. Sakonos, Martini, Dix, Young, Webb, Ogunodi, Edward and Ashmead. The men's 200 metres. No problem with the start. And Webb going off well, so is Ogunodi outside him. Right on the outside, Edward going very strongly. Walter Dix going very well from the third lane, certainly. In lane 5 now, Amir Webb. It's Dix and Webb, and right on the inside, Martina coming through. But look at that from Webb. Webb's a powerhouse, isn't he? And that looked as though it could be Edwards in second place. We'll check that in a moment. But that was very, very strong. 19.85. Wow. Well, he promised and he delivered.
And what a response, though. Ibarguen had the gauntlet thrown down by the youngster, but she responded superbly. And goodness me, are we going to have a party in Rio? The two South Americans, one from Venezuela, one from Colombia, and Ibarguen out to beyond 15 meters after having gone 14.77, 15.04 in the 5th round. She backed that up with a 14.98. Both of them legal. The wind was just sitting below 2 meters per second. So a really top-class competition, and Ibarguen responding to the presence of this perhaps a new star for the event, Rojas of Venezuela. But Ibarguen coming out on top. The world lead, of course, 15 meters and 4 centimeters.
Vault with 474. It wasn't the best of competitions, so she went up to 484. It had 2 failures. So Sandy Morris, who has already started the season really well, and that was a clearance of 484.
She had jumped 5 meters in the past, but nobody has ever gone higher than 5 meters apart from Yelena Isinbayeva. So for outdoors, 5
Here we go. 2 meters 40. The bar is at. He cleared 2:36 first time, did Barshim. Oh, yeah, skims over that one. Not a lot of daylight between him and the bar. Rips off his number, and guess what? This is who I am. That is what it's about. Huge statement there from Barshim. The first 240 clearance of the year, and indeed, if I'm not mistaken, the first 240 clearance for a couple of years there from Barshim. Fabulous stuff from the 26-year-old.
No problem with the start, not much in it at the start actually. Jorge going very well indeed, and here comes Veronica Campbell-Brown and Skiffers along with Bowie in the final stages now. Bowie and Skiffers, and Bowie gets it, Skiffers in second, Campbell-Brown in third. 10.80, meeting record. What a race that was.
Well, that was sensational. Skippers as ever going to get left a little bit, but Bowie was alongside her, and just the two of them trying to chase down Ahure is always a quick starter. Campbell-Brown running well, but look at these two pulling away now. And Bowie, what a strong finish from her. You'd think at that point in the race that Skippers might have a little bit more holding it through the last 50. Look, she's almost talking to herself. Pump, pump, might be what she's saying, but that's what she was doing. And look at the time. That matches her personal best set in Monaco a couple of years ago now. Huge performance from her. But
Rashid Dwyer in 2, the Commonwealth champion back in 2014 for Jamaica. In lane 3, Mitchell Blake of Great Britain, who had a great World Championships. He is the British champion. Andre de Grasse goes in 4, the Rio Olympic silver medalist. Ramil Guliev, the world champion, 5. Jareem Richards, the Commonwealth champion, in 6. Lyles in 7. Brown in 8. Well, good start there from de Grasse in 4. De Grasse grabbing a metre or so, but Guliev really picking up pace well around the middle of the bend there. Guliev in the white vest, very easy to spot there as they come into the straight. Is Guliev leading? He is at the moment. He's a strong man too, but look at Lyles coming through from lane 7. Lyles in lane 7, dragging through. Jareem Richards behind him. The Commonwealth champion takes second place behind Noah Lyles. That's a big win, 19.83, a new meeting record there for Noah Lyles.
Stefanidi then 485, 1 failure. Oh yes, that is superb. Stefanidi, well, what a performer. I tell you what, that lead will be difficult to take away, that's for sure. 485, looking very, very strong, and of course she doesn't a personal best is 486.
You got nervous while watching that, did you, Kat?
Yeah, well, I was saying it actually ended up being 480 and not 485.
That's what I was just checking there. I did have 485 written down. Yeah, you did. You tensed up as that clip came on. Kat, do you watch footage back much, or do you just get nervous for yourself? What was going on there?
So I think it's what Thomas said, actually. It was like, you know, coming back to the outdoor season after the Olympics, I had done indoor and I had won European Championships indoor, but outdoor is different, and my biggest competitor is American, so it didn't matter for European Championships. So we were coming now back from an Olympic year where I won the Olympics. Sandy had jumped 5 meters a little later, and this is the first time we're kind of really seeing each other outdoors. I think for me it was the first competition. I think maybe Sandy had already jumped, and kind of, again, like Thomas said, like, you never really know. I think you have an idea of what shape you're in, but we don't do long run either before we start competing. In fact, we don't go to our long run until July sometimes. So yes, you know how fit you are, and you know, compared to other years, how high you're jumping from shorter runs, but that doesn't mean it will always immediately translate from the first meet into your longer run. So I think always the first meet is a little bit nerve-wracking because of that reason. And I think it's even worse when you know you're fit and you get frustrated because you just can't quite, translate it yet to your longer runs and to the speed and to the bigger poles. So for me, I think it still is my best ever first meet of a season. And I think it's because I kind of let go. I thought, the 2016 was over. We were starting a new year. I knew I had worked well, and we just took every height one attempt at a time. I think I had a few misses at 460 that day, and we said, okay, we'll have 3 attempts. This is why we have 3 attempts. Versus other years, I would get really tense if I missed a lower height and then just try to do things more robotically and things don't turn out. So I think, in fact, I was very nervous, but I think it helped me, again, perform better that day.
That was back in 2017, the vault that we've just seen. Do you feel that you've, over the years that have passed since, you've won a world title since then, you've won a couple more Diamond League titles, do you feel that you've become more able to manage your nerves and your emotions during competition with experience?
I think I go through cycles, actually, and I think it has to do mostly with how I perceive myself going into the meet. So I think there's certain times that I can control myself a lot better and stay very relaxed, and I think I can do good under any circumstances. And I think there's times in the year where I feel like I'm coming in and I don't feel so sure that I'm ready to be where I need to be or where I want to be. And sometimes I can control myself okay in these situations, and other times I think I get very frustrated because I have this expectation and maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe my body's here, or maybe my body's here and my mind is not there yet. So, and then I think that gets, those are the few times I think that I don't perform so well when it matters, and it's just kind of like trying to reach for something that might not be there, or I need to give it the time to develop throughout the meet, and I'm not giving it the time it needs.
Always so fascinating to hear about the psychological side of the elite sport. Kat, I could have talked to you about it all day, but sadly we have not got any time. That is all we have time for, in fact. It's the end of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our guests, Tom, Thomas, Kendra, Kat. Alliterative. That was not designed, but it has happened. If you've got any requests for future episodes, highlights, athletes you'd like us to talk to, questions for any athletes who are appearing on the show, do let us know via our social channels. In the meantime, check out the YouTube, check out the Twitter, the Instagram for fantastic content that will keep you entertained whilst athletics is away. Keep your fingers crossed that things can return soon. We're going to end today's show with a package of highlights from last year's meet at the Khalifa Stadium. Let's take a look at it, and please, please, please stay safe and see you all soon. Bye.